Welcome to AOL. Welcome to AOL Underground.
I was just like, man, F this, like, dude, like, I'm just gonna do something stupid, man. So I went online and I'm just thinking, like, man, what should I try to mess with? Like, what's thinking like the first couple things that come to mind is like social media. So I'm like, all right, let me try to like find an exploit with Facebook. I must have been going at it for like a good like 4 or 5 hours, man. And I felt like I was getting somewhere, but I don't want to get into it because it's like I ultimately didn't. But I gravitate towards Twitter. I'm like, you know what, man, maybe some cool Twitter accounts I can get. Let me screw around with that. So I'm trying to mess around with the forms. I'm looking at like the forgot password page to create password. I'm IP scanning stuff. I'm Googling stuff. I'm using the Wayback Machine trying to find stuff. I did eventually doing something to Twitter where going through forgot password, it say if you claim that you no longer have access to your email account, you can create a help desk ticket. And this help desk ticket was through a third party company known as Zendesk, which is it's used by a lot of organizations. From I mean, last I seen, they were pretty big. I mean, big enough to actually absorb Twitter as a client. So what happened with Zendesk was kind of funny. I did a couple of searches for Zendesk. I looked up like Zendesk exploit, Zendesk CVE, and at some point I found an exploit that somebody published saying that they were able to create an administrator account on Zendesk. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, well, it's public. It says it's patched. Let's find out if it's really patched. So
Oh wow.
I'm looking. So the basically the exploit said that all they would do was you would go to, so when you'd be on Twitter, you'd say, I forgot my password, I no longer have my email. It'd bring you to a site on Zendesk saying create an account, so you can track your ticket progress as it moves through whatever stages. So I go over there, I go to the create account page on the Twitter Zendesk, and I plugged in this variable that was like user underscore roles, and it had a number, an integer, which would just say to the server, hey, make this account, but make it an admin. So I put I pasted that variable over to the create account form, and it didn't do anything. It just created a regular account. So I'm like, all right, well, clearly it's patched. So I tried to fiddle around with it more, looking like when you created the account, there were like several steps you had to go through. Like you'd select, you give your email, your password, blah, blah, blah. Then there's like another step where I think you got to say like what kind of support you want, and then something like confirm your email. I think it was on the confirm your email portion of the page where you go into your email. I don't know if it was like I don't know, put in a code or something, but so basically what they did was this user roles designation saying, hey, make this an admin. They patched it at the first step of the creation of creating a help desk account. They didn't patch it throughout the whole process though. Where at the page where you could confirm your email account, you could throw that variable in there and it still created an admin account. So basically, like,
Wow.
yeah, it's like they fixed it, but only like at the one screen where it was like reported. They didn't fix it like at the third screen. It's kind of funny when I think about this because like very simple. It was something public, but it kind of brought me back to the AOL days because way back in like 2000 they had a similar exploit on AOL. It was like free.aol.com where you could go on there and you'd view the source to a page, and you were able to like create screen names that had bad words in them just by changing a hidden value. So it kind of like brought me back to that. Like something I learned from the AOL days was able to be applied to the Zendesk page too. Yeah, I don't know. Those old skills came back to life, I guess.
Interesting. So how did you use the Zendesk account to then take over the Twitter account?
So all right. Well, basically, this is obviously it's a help desk tool. It's not necessarily Twitter's admin. I couldn't like go reset a password. But what it did allow me to do was look up, so once I was in like the Zendesk tool, I think it was called like the monitor tool. It was like Zendesk monitor or something like that. You could search by, I was searching by Twitter accounts because I remember pulling up Cam. So you type in a Twitter account and you could just see like every time somebody had reached out, pretty much what I did was I exported the whole database of like everybody that's ever put in a support ticket. So basically, I had this Microsoft Access database file, which was like gigabytes and gigabytes. That way, I wouldn't have to keep searching stuff. So now I get this thing, and I'm thinking like, you know what? Let me just see like if there's any cool usernames I can take over. So obviously, I'm looking at some of them. Like I want Cam and I want cam0, but like the email address. So basically, like I had the Twitter username and whatever a column or the email address that's tied to the Twitter, and then details about the ticket, date, time, IP address. So the only important thing there is the email. The Twitter username and the email. So those are the only two things it's like relevant here. So the email accounts was basically, and that was the target. I tried to take over a couple of them, trying to like guess security questions, and just I wasn't getting anywhere. But I got down to where I saw it at Burger King, and their email was attached to a Gmail, which was pretty funny because I'm thinking like, oh, well, it's not a corporate email. Maybe I can just guess the Gmail security questions. Turns out the email address for the Burger King Twitter, the username was like 75210bktest@gmail.com, which looks like something that someone just made on the fly. It's not like someone's name. So I went over to Gmail and I didn't even try to reset the password. I just put in Burger King as the password that worked. So I'm like, oh shit, I'm in the Gmail that's attached to the Burger King account. Oh, this is cool. I know what I'm gonna do. So now I got access to the Gmail. I did not reset the password because I didn't want to like I didn't want to just like go out on a whim and just do this and blah blah blah. So it was actually it was planned out pretty interestingly because this again we're in February and President's Day is in February. So that's when I decided I was going to take over the Burger King account. I was like, all right, let me do it on a holiday because I know people are not going to be at work. That way, whatever I'm tweeting off this account, it's got maximum visibility. And, obviously it kind of like spreads around. So I messaged one of my cohorts, someone I was doing hacking with when I was since I was a teenager. This time I'm probably like 24, 25, so I've known him a while. Tell him about what I'm doing. I'm like, hey, I got access to Twitter Zendesk. I gave him the login. He's going in there. He's searching accounts. He's searching his first name like at Tony, trying to see if he can take Tony and take the email it's under. So he's toying around. So now there's two people with access to this database. That's me and this guy Tony. So now you got two people that committed a crime. So I let him know. I'm like, hey, I got the Burger King Twitter account, bro. Like, I got the email. Like, dude, I want to jump in there. I want to do some stupid shit. Like, let's start tweeting stuff. I thought he was perfect for this because one of his hobbies is like rapping. He rap at home, make songs and stuff. So he's a wordsmith. He's really good at expressing himself, and his vocabulary was really good. Like he's just one of those people that can talk to somebody, and he's just like so articulate with his sentences. I don't know, like he knows how to get someone's attention by talking. Not sure if that makes sense, but so
Yeah, it does.
so the President's Day is rolling around. It's whatever February. I think it was like February 19th. I think that was actually crazy thing is it's the day that I defaced the Burger King Twitter feed was the anniversary of the Paris Hilton thing, and it just kind of like lined up with that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was like February. I think it was February 19th and like February 19th, like the same 2 days, and very weird, very very strange because the same exact behavior on like the same date. It's kind of scary in a sense too. So I log into the Burger King account. He goes into Burger King account. I think it's like, I don't know, maybe like 10 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock, something like that. And we just start tweeting shit like at the same time. I'm logged into a 4G hotspot Wi-Fi card under a fake name. He's using his neighbor's Wi-Fi, which is like kind of stupid, like his next door neighbor's Wi-Fi. So we're tweeting stuff out. Like I started like tweeting out the names of like famous rappers and stuff. I actually tweeted to Meek Mill's manager at the time, who was this guy. His name was like Coon Philly. That's his name, and he actually like tweeted back to me once saying something like "shout out," which I thought was pretty cool. But I changed the it's out there, but I changed the logo to say McDonald's. Google imaging stuff. I'm like, damn, I need a background, and we got like a picture of the like a Ronald McDonald. Like I think he had like a gun or something like that. Well, it was some sketchy looking stuff, and I changed it to the background. started saying like, they bought out by Burger King. I'm sorry, by McDonald's. The Whopper had flopped.
Oh, swish.
Just tweeting out like really, really obscene stuff, man. Well, Tony, my friend. He friend at the time. He's logged in, and there's like girls tweeting to at Burger King, like I don't know what they're saying, like, "Oh, this is crazy. Hey, retweet me." And he's tweeting back to these girls saying, "Twerk for me, ma." And I remember I'm just at home like reading the tweets that he's saying compared to mine. Like mine were funny, but this guy's stuff was like had me laughing, like in tears, like my jaw hurt laughing. I was like, "Oh my god, this is so funny." And so we're tweeting out, we got this shit saying, McDonald's bought him out, Burger King's a failure. The CEO was doing drugs, and I put a picture up of a guy with a needle and like a pill bottle in his hand or some shit like that. So, this is getting around. They gained like 20,000 followers, like I think like within an hour. Like that shit was shooting up. Like we made a joke, me and Tony, saying like, "Yeah, man, Burger King should pay us for this, man." But so Burger King eventually finds out. They put a ticket in saying, I don't know. They reached out to somebody at Twitter. They put a ticket in saying the account was hijacked. Of course, I'm logged into Zendesk, refreshing it like every 5 to 10 minutes. I see the ticket. I'm like, "Yep, delete." I deleted it. So now we still got access to the account for like another hour. At some point, somebody at Twitter corporate, they just suspended the Burger King account altogether instead of going through resetting the password. They just suspended it. So I can't unsuspend it because all I have is access to the help desk. It's not, I don't have like admin rights. So that died. It kind of like it was like going up like a climax and then came down. I was like, oh well, I guess that's over. It's suspended. Then they started putting out news articles about it, and I think the Burger King stock had actually like gone up like $2, which was pretty cool too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, so but I thought, what about Jeep? Was there a Jeep thing too?
Yeah, Jeep. We did that the very next day, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Same ordeal. Like after the Burger King thing, like it was picked up on a couple of news articles, and we thought it was kind of funny. And I mean, I'm not kidding. Like I was in tears, man. I probably hadn't laughed that hard in a while just because of the stuff the tweets we were getting back. But like, yeah, let's do it again. So I'm skimming through the database file, like I'm scrolling. I'm trying to think of like brand names that are widely known that probably have a lot of followers. And I try a couple. I don't recall what. I think we definitely tried Wendy's and things like that and Taco Bell. But we ended up getting Jeep. And Jeep was attached to a Yahoo, which same thing like Burger King. It wasn't a corporate email. So it was like, oh, okay, maybe this one will work. And I just recall going to Yahoo and doing forgot password. And I think the email was like jeepexperience at ymail.com or something like that. And the security question was, who is our parent company? Something like that. And the answer was Chrysler. I think it was Chrysler. I believe that's what it was. It's something right off Google. I Googled it and I was like, oh, bam, got it. Boom. So same thing. Now I got access to the email. I believe this is the day we did Burger King. This was like later that day. So we're like talking, we're like, all right, let's do the same shit. Let's do it tomorrow morning. Let's like not do it right now. Just same thing. It's like, all right, yeah. So this is me talking to my friend. Same thing. Next morning. Now I don't. It's not a holiday anymore. They just had a hack, so people are on edge. It's in the press. Didn't last very long, but reset it. We both sign in. We start tweeting out stuff. I think one of the first things I remember tweeting was I wanted 50 Cent to reach back out to me. I put like you wouldn't catch at 50 Cent riding in a dirty ass Jeep. I put that up, and I'm just like, I'm already like this is stupid. We just started tweeting out dumb shit saying that Cadillac bought out Jeep failed and changed the picture to Cadillac. But unfortunately, our ride didn't last that long. I think the account was suspended within like 15 minutes. It was unlike the other day where we had a couple of hours kind of rolling around like tweeting people back and stuff. So that yeah, it died out pretty quick. 15 minutes of fame right there, and the same thing happened. I got picked up in the press, and Jeep was breached, Burger King was breached, and so of course somebody's wondering like, okay, who did this? And that's not good.
So how did they eventually figure it out it was you?
So there were a couple of hints. This is what had went down. So I got access to Zendesk. I'm searching through tickets that Twitter employees are putting in. And I'm thinking, like, how can I use this system to steal accounts? Like, I just want to steal them. Like, how can I get someone to, like, reset a password or something like that? So I'm looking through tickets, and they had so there was this one Twitter employee, his name was like Jason something, and this ticket said, I can't remember the term, but he said something like, can you morph this Twitter account into this Twitter account? And then they responded, sure. So when I pulled up the Twitter account, well, it was actually a company. A company. So basically what happens is a company, they got a point of contact at Twitter, and they made some arrangement saying, like, hey, I want, I don't know, say at T-Mobile. Like, hey, we like the at T-Mobile username. They do whatever they got to do. And then so T-Mobile would like have a random username like T-Mobile 555567, and the Twitter employee would say, "Hey, can you morph this Twitter T-Mobile 5556 into T-Mobile?" And everything from that T-Mobile 5556 username would get merged over to at T-Mobile, and it would switch the username. So it would basically, like, if I wanted Cam, it would almost erase the Cam account and move an account to it. So what I did was I basically like created a Zendesk account with the same name as the employee, but the user, like the email address, that was, I think it was like the Zendesk username. Like there's a Zendesk username. I cloned the username and I just like switched one letter. Like I switched an E with an R or something like that. But like if you kind of glanced at the username, like it would look like, oh, it's that certain employee. So basically, what I did was I cloned a Twitter employee's username in Zendesk, and then I created a ticket to the same guy this guy already creates tickets to. And I was like, hey, can you morph XYZ554 into Cam? And the guy said, sure. So basically, like this random Twitter account I made just became Cam. So now I own Cam at Twitter, and I'm like, yeah, I got an account. Hell yeah, this is dope. So I took the at Cam account over. That was kind of like one thing in the long run that was like, okay, Cam, who's this? Who's Cam? The second clue that put him on to me was kind of stupid on my part was when I was tweeting off, I think it was the Burger King account. It might have been Tony. One of us two tweeted out Dephonic Team Screen Name Club, or the acronym, which was tied to the Paris Hilton hack back in 2005. So now you got two clues. You got the Burger King, whoever hacked it, shouted out Dephonic Team Screen Name Club. Those are the same guys that hacked Paris. And now the actor took over the username Cam. This is a long run, way down the line when they're investigating this. And pretty much what else happens from there is there's a news report. So when Burger King gets hacked, my friend that's tweeting, he says something like iThug, just ITHUG. He tweets that name out and says, like, iThug this or follow iThug, whatever. So he's on Burger King, tweets out iThug. A news reporter from Gizmodo looks up iThug and finds my friend's real Facebook account. So now this reporter finds his account, Tony's account, who's logged into Zendesk, who's logged into Burger King, who's logged into Jeep. And this guy puts out an article with my friend's face on it and says, this is the guy that hacked Burger King. His name's Tony. He's a DJ from Providence, Rhode Island. So like when this article comes out, I'm talking to him like, dude, what the hell? Like, how did he find this? Like, what'd you do? And now I'm backtracking. I'm looking like, oh, he tweeted iThug out. So he's been raided before, just not, he wasn't prosecuted. He was raided around the time when the Paris Hilton stuff happened, but for whatever reason, he didn't get charged. So the government knows who he is. So now there's a news article with his face and his Facebook profile. Now the feds are like, okay, took over the name Cam. They shouted out Dephonic, the group that hacked Paris. Now we get this guy Tony, who we know. They're like, all right, there's definitely some kind of relation here. So what they do is they send out subpoenas to the IP addresses that were associated with logging into Zendesk and Twitter accounts and stuff. They sent out subpoenas to get the IP I used, the 4G wireless card. Sprint replied, there's no record. So, okay, that was a dead end. They subpoena the IP that Tony used, and it's his direct, like, next door neighbor. Like his neighbor's address is like 120 Main Street, for example, and he's like 122. So now they're like, okay, Tony lives at 120. The Wi-Fi was 122. This is definitely him. And they got his Facebook. And he actually bragged about it on Facebook. He said Wendy's is getting hacked next or something like that. So right away, they got probable cause to knock him in. Me, on the other hand, there's not really anything there. There's like a shout out to this group, and then there's the name Cam. Other than that, there's nothing. So the way this all rolled downhill was I'm at home, I'm sleeping, I hear banging on the door. This isn't much longer after my house got robbed. So my house got burglarized and I moved to another apartment my landlord had. So not many people knew I lived at this place. It was like, I don't know, like 2 months or 3 months after the Twitter hack. I opened the door and there's four agents there. I immediately know who they are. I've seen these guys a lot. And they said, are you Cameron LaCroix? I said, what? He said, are you Cameron LaCroix? I'm like, what are you guys here for? What do you want? He said, answer the damn question. Are you Cameron LaCroix? I said, can you please explain this? He said, you know what? Why don't you just tell us if that's you or not, and we'll be happy to tell you. I said, yeah, it's me. And he said, do you mind if we come inside? I said, you have a warrant? Said, no. I said, I'm calling my lawyer right now. He said, okay, you can do that. And I shut the door. I called my lawyer. I explained, like, there's feds at my house. He said, tell him to leave. It's a little longer conversation than that, but I opened the door. I said, hey, my lawyer told you guys to leave. He's like, oh, you sure? You sounded very interested in hearing, asking us why we're here. We want to let you know, just, we'll be happy to sit down. I said, no, you don't have a warrant, just leave. So the agent in the back, there's like four of them in a narrow hallway. He comes forth and he gives me a paper. It's a grand jury summons to go to the Northern District of California federal court, saying, there's a grand jury investigation, and says I have to testify. And I'm like, California? I'm like, man, I'm in Massachusetts, man. I don't got money to get there. I can't get there. I can't go. And the agent says, he's like, well, we'll help you out. If you just want to tell us right now you're not going and you're refusing, we can just arrest you and we can make sure you get there. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'll just, I'll get back with you guys on that. So they leave. I shut the door. I'm sitting down. I'm trying to collect my thoughts. Like, okay, California, what's there? Twitter. Twitter's in California. Their HQ's there. I'm like, oh shit, like that's got to be what this is for. I'm looking at the paper. It doesn't say anything about it though, just Cali. So I'm thinking maybe I'm wrong. I'm doubting myself now. And so I immediately, what do? I text Tony. I say like, yo, you around? 5 minutes goes by, no answer. I call him, get a voicemail. Call him, get a voicemail. Call him, get a voicemail. I'm like, damn, man, what the hell is he doing? Sleeping? Texting him again. Finally responds to me. He says like, yo, what's up? And I'm like, I said, yo, dude, the feds just came to my house, and I'm texting him. He said, what? Like WTF? Like, who was it? I said, FBI, man. I don't know what happened. And he asked me, he's like, do you think it's about Zendesk and Twitter? I said, dude, I don't know. It says California. And he's like asking me stuff about it, like, yo, do you have the database still? And I said, yeah, I did, but it's on a flash drive. I moved it to a storage facility. I don't have it in my house. He's like, but you still have it? Something like that. So he's just asking me weird stuff like, hey, you still have the database? You have it on your computer? Is it on your flash drive? I'm not thinking anything of it. I'm thinking like, oh, he's looking out for me, making sure I don't have any evidence, if they're gonna come back. So nothing happens. I'd go to sleep that night. I'm like, all right, well, I guess they didn't raid me. They must not have anything. So the very next day, oh man. So the next day, I don't recall exactly what I did. I just remember like around, I think it was like 3 o'clock. I'm driving back home. I don't remember where I was coming from. I get home. I walk into my house. I go up a couple flights of steps. I go to my desk. I sit at the computer. I turn it on. Put my flash drive in. I think it was laying there. The flash drive was on the table. I plugged it in. Whatever. I log into my computer. It's a Windows computer. I decrypt the drive. I was gonna, get doing some stuff. I don't know what exactly, but I was whatever. I'm home. I'm on a computer. And then I got a little whiteboard on the wall, and I looked at it, and there was a reminder that I had to go to the hospital because I had to get a vaccination at the time I was going to college. You got to have a certain amount of vaccines, whatever, to attend. So I'm like, oh shit. So here I am, go home, log in, decrypt my computer, and I'm like, damn, I got an appointment. So I leave the computer on, grab my keys, grab whatever, a drink of water, whatever, and now I'm like hurrying to the car because I'm going to be late. So I'm walking down a driveway. I'm crossing the street because I actually parked like a little ways away because I was kind of scared that the feds would be watching me. But like I might have been like 20 feet from my car, keys in my hand, ready to get in. Out of nowhere, man, like a couple agents just hop out of a car, and then a couple more agents come out of a Jeep, and they all just run over to me like, "Hey, Mr. LaCroix, stop! We got a search warrant." I'm like, "What the f?" like, you guys got the paper, and I'm like, holy shit, like, I'm like, okay. He's like, yeah, give us your keys. I'm like, I'm leaving, man. I got an appointment. He's like, nah, we got a warrant for your car. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, geez. So they bring me back upstairs. I'm in the house, and now I'm raided. They walk me up. I open the door with the key. They tell me to sit down on the couch. I'm like, dude, I got a hospital appointment. I got to get a vaccine. They don't want to let me go. They said, oh, you might have evidence on you. I'm like, do you have a warrant for me or for the house? He says, for the apartment. I said, then I'm going. I'm gonna leave. You have to let me leave. So I'm a little bit arguing with them. One agent's telling me, like, shut the f up, like, you smart ass, you legal stuff, blah blah blah. Another agent comes over and he's like, listen, you really got this appointment? How you gonna get there? You have no car. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna walk. He's like, you're gonna walk? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna walk. I'm in school. I need this. So he's like, you know what? All right, we'll let you go, but we got to strip search you. I'm like, what the hell? So
What?
whenever I go in my bathroom, and, like, I asked him again. I'm like, why you got to strip search me? You can't just pat me down. He's like, you might have, like, a flash drive on you somewhere or something like that with some files on it we need. I'm like, dude, I don't have nothing, man. I don't have anything. There's nothing in this house, man. I'm not doing that. He's like, we got to do it. You want to go? So whatever. I consented to a strip search, and then, like, they searched my wallet, and they eventually gave me my house key back, my wallet, and they said I could go. They escort me downstairs, and then I just kind of, I have no phone. They took my phones. I'm like, man, I felt crazy. But basically what happened at that point was just nothing. I went to my friend's house, stayed the night there, and the next day I went back to my house to find, like, shit everywhere. Like, the ceiling tiles moved, there's stuff all over the floor. It's just a disaster. Like, they really, like, destroyed my house, minus, like, breaking doors off. Like, it was crazy. But, you know, I was a little argumentative, so I mean, whatever. I kind of made that happen to myself. So, the interesting part, right? The day before, when the agents came to my house to give me that subpoena, so after I took the subpoena and told him to leave, and I started texting Tony, Tony had the FBI actually behind him. They were coaching him as what to say. He actually had got raided while they gave me the subpoena. So basically, like, when I was texting him back, I'm saying, like, yeah, I basically did it, is what I'm saying, because I'm like, yeah, I have the database somewhere on a drive, but I moved it outside to a storage unit. And I'm admitting to, like, yeah, I got the database somewhere. So I had no idea. I didn't know Tony was getting raided, but the agents were in his house searching it while they were telling him what to say to me. So they used that information the day before to get the warrant on my house. And he told the agents that I had an encrypted pen drive. So they had people there that were, whatever, specialists or whatever with that shit, and they went over to the computer and did their thing. I'll remind you, before I got raided, I logged onto my computer and I decrypted the drive. And then I remembered I had an appointment. So I left the computer on and got raided moments later, and it didn't, like, shut off or sleep, or it didn't do anything. So basically, like, they got in for free. They imaged it, whatever, and got another warrant later on, and they searched the drive, and then there's evidence on there from state police stuff and Twitter, Zendesk, and credit cards, and like, a multitude of other things, like a lot of things. That's the long story.
Got it. So after that, from what I was reading,
Yeah.
was there something with Bristol too? A community college?
Yes, there was. Yeah, it was that was a whole other thing too, man. I found an exploit at my college to reset anybody's account on basically their web portal, where, like, students and teachers would log in. A little bit of poor security on that point. It was kind of like the same thing where you do forgot password, put the username in, students or teachers, and then it would bring you to, like, a verification screen, like, check your email for a code, and then the screen after it that asks for a password. I just got to the password screen, saved the HTML, and in the HTML there was a field for the username, so you could just change it and, like, skip over the whole thing. It's really, like, mind blowing, like, how many exploits I've had similar to that. I mean, because just changing the source code of hidden values is really, like, cheesy. Like, it's not hard, but the school, yeah, that's same thing with the school. Zendesk was similar, and AOL activities was real similar. I won't get into, like, other hacks, but these ones that I have gotten in trouble for, these ones were kind of similar. Very simple. I think it was probably inevitable at some point, really, especially with Twitter too and Zendesk. I'm kind of surprised that I was the first one to find that or try it. But yeah, the things played out. I got raided May of 2013. An interesting thing is, the whole situation again with Aaron Swartz. There was a lot of pressure on the U.S. Attorney's Office because of that. The way that they prosecuted this kid. He had, I mean, suicide is significant. I think like, anybody that's gonna go that route, obviously is probably dealing with like a tremendous amount of stress. But nonetheless, though, like I guess there was a lot of pressure on the District of Massachusetts prosecutors, and my lawyer. I mean, she told me that's exactly what she told me, that they're not looking to like destroy me in court and give me a life sentence, because like the stuff that's on that computer was pretty serious. But they offered a plea deal of 48 months, which is just 4 years, and it would basically wrap up everything. I was going to be prosecuted for possession of credit cards, Bristol Community College Twitter, and the law enforcement database. But I had to go in there and sign a proffer statement and explain to them how I did it, because like even though like some things were kind of obvious, like Zendesk, like they looked into that. I think they had like hired somebody from the outside to come in and do the forensics and patch the exploit and stuff like that. But as far as like the state police goes, I think that there wasn't much to figure out there for that they could, because it was almost, I guessed the password that I had found, like the password was a username with the state police. So it's not like I was like brute forcing shit and you have like a whole bunch of suspicious requests coming in. It's not like I used an exploit to reset this account. It just, if you look at it, it's like, okay, this state police account was just like, it just looks like he logged in the first time brand new. How did he get that password? But and the college thing too, to my knowledge, the school didn't call in anybody from the outside, so I think they wanted to know like how I got in as well. So going in there and explaining it to them, I think it saved them a lot of time, and at least like they pass that information on to whoever, say like, well, this is what happened. Obviously, like fix your passwords. Don't have this password is the same thing as a username, for instance, and whatever they did. But that's the way that it resolved. I got the 4 year deal. I went in there and I talked to them for a couple hours, explained everything. They brought in a copy of my flash drive that they seized from my house, and they had it up on a projector. And I was kind of like directing them like where to go, and I'm like, go into the Zendesk folder that I have and go down to that file on the bottom. That's the exploit that I use, the HTML code. So I just gave them a walkthrough of it, and I don't know. I guess that's all they wanted. I mean, at least I hope one of them companies benefited from it. Caused a lot of damage and stress for people too. So I mean, it was like the least I could do, even from that standpoint. It's bad, really bad PR and all that stuff.
So for the Bristol Community College stuff, why hack that?
So like I had briefly mentioned, like 2012 was a really chaotic year, pretty much because like I was engaging in a lot of bad things. Like I said, substance abuse. I was just super focused on partying, going out all the time. It would be like a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday thing. Like it was just like nuts. I can't even explain a lot of stuff. Some of the stuff I don't even want to talk about. It was just nuts. So the Bristol Community College was like I enrolled in school with a good intention. I got out of jail 2011. My goal was 2012. I'll enroll in school and at least like try to do something right. But my activities, it kind of screwed my school up. It got to a point where like I didn't want to go. So I'm like, dang man, well, I went through this whole enrollment process to get admitted, selected these classes, and I went through X amount of classes, and now I stopped going because I'm doing other things with my time, and that time I put into the class is going to be a waste. So I'm thinking like, okay, well, instead of getting an F, wouldn't it be better to just get an A? So I mean, I kind of that's what it was. I didn't want to lose that time I put in. I'm like, well, let me just pass myself. Yeah, I mean, my intention was to just go in there and just kind of fly through the whole thing. Just like once I got in there, I'm like, oh, I never have to go to school. Just show up and not do any work. That's kind of the way I looked at it, with the whole reasoning behind the school thing.
Fair enough. So you had 48 months, and so what are you doing these days? Are you taking any sort of classes?
Yeah, I am. My employer, I won't say who it is. It's probably pretty obvious where I work. But my employer, they have a program where they pay for school. They allot us like I think like $5,000 or something for the year. So yeah, I enrolled in school earlier this year. It's remote, so I can kind of like do it on my own time. Working 40 hours a week, and dealing with family and then school is obviously a lot. So it sounded like it was perfect. I might as well take advantage of what I can and try to better myself.
Nice. So what do you go to school for?
I'm enrolled in a bachelor's for cybersecurity and information assurance degree. So I'm hoping,
Nice.
yeah, I'm going for it, man. I'm trying. I'm hoping, I can kind of like cram through it. Like the program is pretty fast paced as long as you are fast paced. So I'm trying really hard, but I'm hoping by like 2024 I'm finished with that and my probation will be over, and I can kind of like do things the right way because I'm not getting younger, and going down that path is obviously not the no, well, it's no longer my intention.
Right. So it sounds like, because you've done a number of application exploits, have you like thought about like bug bounties and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, I definitely have. And I'll be completely honest. I'll be off probation in under a year. I don't think I'm actually eligible to do any of that per like my conditions and such. So I'm saving it really for like whenever I do wrap up, because I do have very tight restrictions. Just like as far as like I'm allowed to use computers to a degree, but as far as like hacking, like or even for fun hacking, it's not. I'm not allowed to, but I should say I want to, obviously, because it's useful in the industry.
Interesting. Cool. Well, I wish you the best with that stuff. Hopefully, you can turn from black hat to white hat, right?
Definitely, yes.
Cool. Is there anything else you want to touch on today?
I guess the only thing I would really like conclude with, man, is just like it's been a hell of a journey. I've like asked myself the question so many times, man. Like, if I could change the past, would I? And like, there's like one side that's kind of like, well, I wouldn't have the experience I have if it wasn't for that. But I think it's the other side trumps everything, man. I would definitely like go back and change everything that I did. Like, I don't think it matters like just saying, "Oh, I was a kid, I didn't know," because I had plenty of times to kind of put the cork in there and just stop it. But I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself, man. I just hope that at least this could be an influence for somebody hearing it down the line. If someone is still engaging in this, or they are, like, this is it's not smart. Like I wish 15 years ago, man, I just went right into school. The first time I got out of jail, or even the second time, and just kind of got it right. But I'm hopeful. I'm very happy. I'm at a great place in life right now. I just wish the best for the world, man. I hope everybody can do good. And the cyber stuff is getting really serious. So if anybody's like hacking stuff, like, use it the right way. Do something good.
Yeah, definitely. Those are good thoughts on that. Appreciate it. Well, thanks for coming on today.
No problem, man. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it too.
Welcome to cyberspace.